Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurme Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamaropini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhi Bhavatu Me Sada Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Gunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Arim Pamcho and the see about Jahan Adi Shankaracharya on Atma Bodha. So about Kaka Yanoho previous verse 39. So Shankaracharya Kachain the wise man should the process, how the process to achieve this our true nature, which is pure, eternal, Nyankopon. As yamfa yan bibialan ko ayan kokokonumu, which is yangasa. Na bibia yamfa in to means meditate on the Supreme Self alone. Nankoti na yamfa hinajun to. Na maybe sade after realization, what? So after this state, similar this state na, nimpan bukwe kudu obenyano. What? But Pamchoyenka hunde, this is not a state to be. Yebeshia. The after realization, Ebenazibu, no which. Jebosha verse 40. Because actually some people feel that so realization, so leave everything. Then it means that it's like a suicide mission. All your thoughts, emotions, feelings, everything. Leave it, remove this ego, leave this ego. After that, what becomes of a living person? Because I want to take this, I want to get this, which also because this is the source of sorrow. So if you are saying we should drop them, it means what is there to live for? So Shankaracharya is saying, verse 40, Rupa Varnadikam Sarvam Vihaya Paramalthavit Paripurnachidananda Swarupena Vatishtati. Together. Rupa Varnadikam Sarvam Vihaya Paramalthavit Paripurnachidananda Swarupena Vatishtati. Asande Rupa Varna Ityadi. Rupa Varna. Rupa means form. Varna means color. Adi, like, and so on. So it simple means like Rupa means form and color. So it means that the senses, all the senses, or sense object of names and forms. All these names and forms, Rupa Varna Adi, because he now one by one. So Rupa Varna Adi, and so on. Now he uses as a Paramalthavit. Paramalthavit means one who has risen to this state of consciousness. Nyimpana wetum wedu wafu so wedu watra realms of thoughts, emotions, ego, where you need if you ho. That is Paramalthavit. Parama Alta, one who has realized the Supreme Self. Such a person, also no, oyifi, vihaya means to remove, to discuss, to destroy. Weyi Rupa Varna, and it comes at all forms of names and forms. No. That person weyi if you doesn't exist for such a person. So also therefore such a person, Paripurna, Chidananda. I say Paripurna Chidan Swarupena Avattishtati. Avattishtati means he remains, such a person remains. After Wasal Wenyin, another way to pun, no way who know the young Puno. Otsi, Abibian Oka Otsna, Paripurna, Chidananda, that full, that supreme consciousness, this embodiment of infinite consciousness, such a person, Numunotsi. Which means, not ne, Rupa already comes around. We remove all forms, names, and forms, objects of Ninan in new hobby. It means that individual existence bio. At that state, only God remains. Only individual is because individual existence, only these thoughts, feelings, emotions, ego, the gunas, the three gunas, subtle, rajas, tamas, all in another back. But transcending all these things, the person realizes himself as the supreme being into an individual existence view. Or today, like a river in Ghana, I think River Pra Obopum. Now, before the River Pra is coming, we know it's an individual river called River Pra. But the moment it enters the sea, do we see River Pra? No, we only see the sea. We only see the sea. So the moment we rise up to this state of consciousness now, that individual existence is not there anymore. Only the absolute consciousness exists. And in such a person, these names and forms doesn't exist to him anymore. Everything as it is. Because the divisions of names and forms, good and bad, everything is into the world, to the individual being. But to understand part of the absolute, it does not exist. It doesn't exist because at that point, individual ego, I'm different from this person. A hunter, all this the person went through. That is only in whom previous verse that it happens only where? In the mind. All these are only in the mind. not the absolute self nankasa. So since yet as the inner happens in the mind, when we keep these things aside, it's a self shining. Nankasa say if you under yet share the madina, it's a self nankasa the nuhedi. Into also the nuhedi no, this individual ego gets removed, gets destroyed. Into able who na kananko no owo. Into individual existence biara and then on you hobby. So it is like when we yesterday, the one dreaming will go through so many experiences in the dream, good, bad, ugly. The person will go through, but then when you wake up, that you, the one in the dream, where does it go? It disappears into the waker, the one who has waken up. The being there who was dreaming, that word in the dream, the people in the dream, the objects in the dream, the cars, everything in the dream. When you wake up, it all disappears. Then in dream too, it is not clear as this. So you see the things hazy. But when you wake up, you see everything what? Clear. And that being in the dream is no more. It doesn't exist anymore. And to say yesterday, we are still living in that dream. So in the same way, it is like that realization is like we are waking up from a dream. So what the dreamer was experiencing in the dream does not affect the waker. It doesn't affect the waker. He only full and then pure. Now, so what are the factors of experiencing? Another year for that, yet to me experiencing them. So Shankaracharya, verse 41. Asi nyatra jnana jneya vedaha parenatmani vidyate chidanandaika rupatvat dipyate swayamevahi. Together. Nyatra jnana jneya vedaha parenatmani vidyate chidanandaika rupatvat dipyate swayamevahi. Yes. Asande Veda, the distinction. The distinction. Order Nyatra, the knower. Jnanam, the knowledge itself. And then Jneya, the object to be known. The distinctions or the one, the means the may basim. Now, see, in everything, these three factors are there. Suppose we are eating. We have the eater. What is to be eaten and the eaten. The eater. What is to be eaten, the eaten, and then the eaten. We have the driver, what is driven, and driving. So you see that Abibiano, there's the subject, the object, And the relationship between the two. The relationship between the two. So the experiencer, the experienced, not experiencing. These three factors, every it is there. Example, we can give so many examples. The worshipper, the worshipped, worshipping. So nyatr is the experiencer, the knower. Nyanam, the knowledge itself. And then Nyeya, the object to be known. Osinde, all this is in the Supreme Self. Pare. In the Supreme Self, there is no existence. Na Atma Vidyate. There is no in the Supreme Self. There is no distinction. That means inside the Supreme Nangasano. That means it does not exist. The one to know, the knower, the knowledge itself, and the object to be known. In the absolute state, this does not exist. Mono. Why? Also because Chidananda Eka Rupatwat. Because Nusankasan is consciousness. Bliss. Nusankasa is consciousness. It's knowledge itself. Nusanga in previous verse that okra no sunsun nankasa nusu ankasa no oni okokroko nankasa. It's a nusu ankasa nyo okokroko nankasa. Wo okokroko ni mu no mo orubosua eno onye azo orusua ena mo orubo yo okokroko na rehwehwe no. That means the doesn't exist there. Example, you have a prime example. Oh, a punumun. Prano na mukwan lorbano doesn't exist there. A kwana prana na mudun onemudunum insuna all pim for me. It doesn't exist there. And another prana intention or look at both punumunusono doesn't exist in a pun. Demu insunu arbano obeshem buba osodo bufado ibu hosodo tobano or you slow take a slow turn no take a slow turn we not tsna no increase in speed old baby nele bobu bundu egu nele bobu afefa baby all these things in a punumun. This does not exist. And as an individual being, yet as an individual ego na one channel, nyaju is separate from okokrokoninti no. Ye nyimbribi, so we want to know. Because of ye nyimayetinti no. Yes, we have to achieve. Ye mode yensu me yetsankasa no yes mulko experiences. Yes me meditation na me hu de even na menyodo. Na ya mu hu de iti. Ihu edehwalu huna. So obe no okwe na aka hona. Aka wala. You are still the individual being. See, in this Nankasadi does not exist. Because Nusungankasa, here, one single consciousness and bliss. As in the reason in there, deep yete swime wahi because nankasa or shrine. Nusangasangasan or shrine. Indeed, these fundamental factors, on how young Kassan experiences from a standpoint. So the subject, the object, and the object of experience, the process, we know is only in our level, in state. But the absolute self, this thing does not exist. Let's take the country Ghana, for example. If does not exist to the country called Ghana. But only when you go down individually, these things are there. But homogeneously, everything together, no, it is Ghana. So in the same way, if we are different. So we go through because you think you don't know, so you want to know. And then knowing there's an object to be known. And then there should be a process to know it. All this is in this younger Saiyan world. But this absolute state, what is there to achieve that from that point of view, no, this does not exist. Even if secular knowledge, for example, suppose somebody wants to learn computing, science, or mathematics or anything. From the mathematics standpoint of view, no. From the mathematics point of view, no. The student to know mathematics, it doesn't exist in mathematics. The process to learn and know mathematics does not exist in mathematics. And from the student point of view, no, the mathematics is an object he wants to achieve. Expert in mathematics is what he wants to achieve. So in the same way, as an individual, we want to achieve something. The supreme state of achievement, these things does not exist. Because it is full consciousness. Because that is the source of all that is to be known. And the source of everything that is to be known now. Because it's full self-knowledge, full of knowledge. There's nothing for it to know anything beyond you. Because it's self-shining. Now, see, let me see a question today. So then, if my true nature is this absolute self full of knowledge, consciousness, why is it so that I am not able to? So therefore, how do I get this state? How do I transcend to this full consciousness? How do I realize that I am this? Already Shankaracharya is kind of him in previous verses using the Mahavakyas as our meditation points. But he is giving us another method, the same thing, but he's giving us something practical. Listen, verse 42. Ewamat marano dhyana mathane satatam krite udita wagatil jwala sarva jnane dhanam dahet. Together. Ewamat marano dhyana mathane satatam krite udita vagate jwala sarva jnanindhanam dahet. Asande ewa. In this state, no, therefore, no. Dhyana mathane. Dhyana matate. Dhyana matani statam kriti. Asande, when matana means, have you heard of Samudra Matan? Samudra Matan, churning of the ocean. So churning of the ocean. So when knowledge, you constantly churn. You know, churning, there's a rod, and then they have a base, another churning rod, usudo. So as you pull, then you buttermilk, when we are churning yogurt into butter. So when this is constantly satatam, constantly churned with knowledge, as someone come here constantly doing satsang, listening to the scriptures, constantly, day in, day out. Is there something called hour in, hour out? Minutes in, minutes out, seconds in, seconds out. Constantly. At least we come here weekly. It's good. So constantly, the more we do this and we make effort to apply it, the more and making the effort to apply it, constantly as we do this, as at this time, we use arano, Atma arano. Arana is like a channel rod. In Tsetsano, you see that sometimes, in Tsetsano, what you have a base. Then you have some sticks, small pieces. Then you have a rod. Then you channel. Then because of the friction, heat is generated. And actually, also in ancient India, they have this. There's a wood. Then they scoop wood to amana kakra. That the mobile what the pieces of sticks Then there's another rod official or why a kakra with a little bit for flat base. No, the harmonious. So the more you often arano. Often arano. That's the wooden piece, Now what the chain this process, So the distance, So as the arano, that is the wooden piece. The wooden piece only you will use for the chaining to ignite the fire. Now, the more you chaining is not the knowledge, it's the process. So when you chain, that's the fire of knowledge. Then it comes. But also, so start to whistle, when you in who. Dadan kakankra. One watching when you know and see osara. Then you carry that fire. From the Hawan, this is how what's the Hawan fire. And son was started was Indiano was a Toho. In those times when she sent Indian Kufu. So worship wujja amunan tum no woso no amado no da abotum no wode mbabawa atotodo kan kranti orusan asen hu no orusan na bebo idio orba nta hyesin mbabawa oruso kasa na increase mbabawa na kasa no the man to osansa na ndia kasa na yeden wa baka ho nta osin de by chaining constantly using knowledge, chaining, you use this process, Udita wagata jwala, agni jwala, the ignition of fire. Udita awagata jwala. As the fire of knowledge gets ignited, so when the fire of knowledge gets ignited, then you take it to burn more and more vasanas. Using each channel with satsang, you share the more and trying to apply it. You share try to practice. The more you do this, then the fire of knowledge gets ignited. Then it goes to burn more vasanas. The sticks are the vasanas. The Hawan sticks, are the vasanas. And vasanas are in many three. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So the more then the fire of knowledge gets burned. Also, Sarvajnane Dhanam Dahit. It burns out the fuel. Sarva Ajnana, all ignorance. Sarvajnana, Sarva Ajnana, all ignorance gets burned. The hate, means to burn. Into the process, you said, how do we get this state? How do we realize? How do we become free from all this kind of bondage and ignorance? Constantly churning with knowledge. Constantly. So that is why in Hinduism, satsang is not a joke in Finzagur. And not just going to sit there. Listen attentively. Make notes. Because the mind can forget, but the book will not forget. The mind can forget, but the book will not forget. And so as you make notes, when you forget, you can make reference. Ready reference for you anytime. And then remind yourself, and we learned this. Then the more in your 1, 2, 3 times, you go back to your notes you have made, you want to work with them. But most of the time, when you go to satsang, most of it will also disappear from you. But you only say that you know something. But say what you know to becomes a problem. Like Robi Sobi, do you know the national anthem? Oh yes, I know. Say it. I forget things. The national anthem. God bless our homeland, God. I forget things. Meanwhile, you are saying you know. Yes, you know. But you have forgotten. So Shankaracharya saying that the intellect, the mind, the sense organs, the body, all these needs, no. These are assemblage. Inner assemblage. But you will use the mind, particularly the intellect, as our chaining rod. The man, because as you go to satsang, the address is not to the body, not to your senses, not to your mind, but to your intellect. Everything you go and listen at satsang grounds, it's to your intellect, not to any other assemblage of your body. So it becomes your chaining rod, because it is with this that we have vairagya and viveka, to discriminate from what is right and wrong, good and bad, real and unreal. You choose the right thing. So when we send this fire of knowledge, as it gets ignited, no, don't leave it there. Slowly, vasanas as ignorance, as sticks, one by one, it goes. And so as one vasana goes and gets bent, the fire becomes big. Then another stick will go in, the fire increases. Another one will go in, the fire increases. So the more you change, the more you go to say, you learn. Then each small, the vasanas also get burning. Because it is the absolute selves we are not able to experience because of these agitations of the mind. This veil or the henajundo, into me humayati. Mayen humayati is even young as if that you have to see it somewhere. Into yen to yangasa, yen to yende ye way the mayatankasa. It is because of agitation, false, wrong perceptions, wrong identifications, ayaka. From the beginning, upadis, the conditions that is our problem, and this is our ignorance. But by knowledge in our culture, there you are not this, you are rather this. The more you pay attention to it, the more you try to live by it. And that ignorance and agitations also start removing one by one. So Mr. Shankaracharya, so what is our problem? Why don't we know this from the beginning? Why from the beginning? Yentum yehu damadi. Netum kade na siangu ponyin bibia na no bo bibia na za. Dem ye bananchon na wife or in the fort. Us day, yeah, but next week. Arium. Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamurechate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Harihi Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Harihi Om.